Hey, folks, we're going to give it a minute for attendees to trickle in.
Hey everyone, welcome.
All right, looks like we'll get going here. So welcome and good afternoon. Today we'll be covering pioneering and innovating with AI in performance marketing, creating a first mover advantage in the modern AI race. My name is Erin Cigich, and I'm the CEO at PerformCB. We're the leader in outcome-based marketing. And joining me today is Dzenis Softic, our CTO and head of AI innovation. We've been colleagues for almost a decade, and we're the co-authors of 3 patents. Today's agenda is focused on 3 key areas. First, understanding AI and its applications. Next, exploring PerformCB's initiatives in this space. And finally, sharing a real-world case study to illustrate these concepts in action. And on a housekeeping note, we will open the floor for questions at the end. So please submit your questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A chat functionality throughout today's webinar. Now, let's dive in and see how AI is transforming our industry and driving innovation at PerformCB.
Hey everyone, thank you Erin for the intro. Hey everyone, I'm excited to talk to you about AI. So as we walk through this webinar, I want you to keep a few key concepts about what is AI in the first place, what goes into the AI, because it's mentioned a lot and it's a very vague and broad term. And it can go from as simple as a rule-based system, which is like automatable process with defined rules, or complex neural networks, which gets a little bit more complex, and I'll talk about that a little bit after. So in this, like most simple terms, the analogy would be that you have an apprentice, and this apprentice works 24/7, and he's really good, doesn't make any mistakes, but you need to clearly specify what this person needs to do. So you define all the rules, you define like, hey, if this happens, do this, and then it can scale wonderfully, but it's not going to go outside of its parameters of the rules. And this is like the most generalistic approach of what AI is. As we go a little bit deeper, we get to machine learning. And analogy of this one would be if this apprentice was looking at you and what you do every day, and it was looking at what you do for so long that it can now predict what you're going to do next. And this is where stuff gets interesting in advertising, in Spotify, Netflix, where you have all of these recommendation systems that recommend what is the next thing you're going to be interested. And finally, we have the deep learning, which works with, like, we call it neural network. And we call it like that because those networks work kind of similar like brain cells. And they are really good at generating content that's not there. So again, there's an apprentice, and this apprentice has seen everything out there that exists, right? But then it has seen so much stuff that it can now create new content, and it's actually new content that no one has seen before. So we are seeing this in ChatGPT, creating all the text content. We are seeing this in DALL-E or Midjourney or other text-to-image algorithms. So they can create new content. And together, like these technologies, they're revolutionizing how we solve problems. They're helping us understand and process huge amounts of data in ways that previously were not possible. So as we are trying to make this a little bit more clear, the actual use cases of this is looking at business process automation. That's the most simple term. And use case would be, it's a bank. Let's say it's a bank looking at approving credits, right? So it's a repeatable process because you have to check this thing, that thing. You have to check all of the credit score of the applicant, and you can do that very, very quickly. Now, we didn't just increase efficiency, we also reduce human error, and we increase customer satisfaction because the result was faster. Yield management, hotel industry, for example, or airline, you know how they define these prices for tickets, and they're always different, right? When you buy tickets, like it always goes up and down. They do something similar. So they look at historical trends, they look at availability, and then a simple AI algorithm is figuring out the price. On the machine learning, popular things are like Amazon recommended products, or like Netflix, when you go on Netflix and it says like for you. And the way that works is it looks your data, what did you do previously, and it looks what everyone else is doing, and then it tries to match like, oh, like you like these kind of shows or movies, and then people that usually like those kind of shows and movies also like this other thing. Uh, so that's really cool example of recommendation systems. I'm like, yeah, TikTok, Instagram, it's very out there, it's very popular. On the opposite side of that is the fraud detection, because the AI can predict what's going to come next, right? So when when a transaction on your credit card, for example, happens and it's outside of what AI would normally predict, this is called anomaly. And this is usually anomalies are some kind of fraudulent activity. And finally, Gen AI text generation. Current number one use case is customer support. So chatbots are really, really good right now at solving basic problems and chatting with people. And there is obvious benefits. Number one, efficiency. And number two, customer satisfaction, because they get the answer much faster, right? And the image and video, well, image is pretty good. Video is really new, like a few weeks old. And it's really going to be important for marketing and advertising, because imagine like you can create hundreds, thousands of creatives like almost instantly, and then test them out, innovate on them, or basically customize them, or create them in different languages. You create one content in English, and suddenly you have it in 200 different languages. So it can really be helpful there. So what I'm trying to show here is that AI, machine learning, and generative AI are not just futuristic theoretical concepts. These are the concepts that are used by companies in our economy right now. Now, of course, some are early adopters, some are going to be late, but it's available. We are entering, and with all of this, we are entering a new era where human capital is no longer a limiting factor for growth. This is big. And to illustrate this, I'd like to share a powerful insight from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI.
Highly performant, smaller teams, thanks to these tools and these technologies, are going to be able to do so much more. Is that a trend you're seeing from the startups growing around y'all in Cerebral Valley?
We're going to see 10-person billion-dollar companies pretty soon, like billion-dollar valuations. And the thing that in my little like group chat with my like tech CEO friends, there's this betting pool for the first year that there's a one-person billion-dollar company.
Now let's think about this for a moment. This fundamentally shifts in how businesses scale and innovate. And this bold statement underscores the incredible potential for AI to drive efficiency and productivity. And the way I see it, the integration of AI into business is not just a tech upgrade, it's a strategic imperative. Companies that embrace AI will unlock new growth opportunities, enhance their efficiency, of course, and stay ahead of competition.
Highly.
Thanks, DZ. As
Sure.
DZ shared, lots of folks have things to say about AI, and I grabbed a quote from Peter Diamandis. He says that by the end of the decade, there will be two kinds of companies: those who fully utilize AI and those who are out of business. Peter is a serial entrepreneur, futurist, technologist, New York Times bestselling author, and he's the founder of 25 companies. Now, even if you believe that Peter's statement is a bit aggressive, it's tough to argue that Perform CB and the broader digital marketing landscape aren't poised to be one of the industries with the biggest winners, Perform CB, and losers. When I joined Perform CB nearly 2 decades ago, there was no better ad placement than Yahoo.com. You see them down here in our programmatic advertising followers section. If you were able to secure a placement on Yahoo.com back in the early 2010s, you were all but guaranteed to exceed your client's goals. But Yahoo, among other missteps, was very slow in keeping up with the programmatic revolution. And today, Yahoo.com didn't even qualify for the Trade Desk Top 100 publisher list. History shows us that we can't afford to wait or ignore something this transformative. Fortunately, the investments that we've made in our proprietary platform, which houses a massive data set and allows us full control over its development, enable us to quickly launch AI-enabled dashboards and workflows. And combined with our strong market position, this gives us a significant head start in the AI race that we intend to maintain. As investors, you are well aware that the top 25% of enterprises consistently outpace the bottom 25%. This isn't just a stat, it's a testament to the power of strategic investments. The HBR study on the left highlights the tangible financial benefits that AI investments bring to business. And on the right, McKinsey's analysis underscores the profound impact of leading in digital and AI, showing a performance boost that ranges from 2.3 to 6.1x. These insights make it clear, investing in AI isn't just advantageous, it's essential for those aiming to lead and excel in the market. Even more so than the previous digital transformation era, the AI opportunity spans a wide spectrum of impactable value levers, from efficiency drivers to revenue drivers and everything in between. These can then be evaluated on their impact to EBITDA, growth, differentiation, and ultimately valuation. When Perform CB's chief executive team met in Chicago earlier this summer for an AI summit, we identified 20 different areas across the business that AI can help us drive additional revenue, additional margin, or launch new products. The focus of our proprietary development is on differentiation and growth. We're also continuing to adopt off-the-shelf AI tools and technologies to drive cost savings. That's simply table stakes these days. With that, DZ and I want to share one of the most exciting technologies he and I have built together in a decade plus of collaboration. It solves a pervasive industry problem that, before AI, was totally unsolvable.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we're actually doing today. And I'd like to introduce you to our proprietary AI system, Perform Sense AI. It's one of those predicting models. So the apprentice that has seen so much that it can now predict what's going to happen next. So it's a model designed to predict the likelihood of a click resulting in a conversion. And by doing this, by selecting only clicks that are highly likely to convert, we basically ensure the higher conversion ratio for our marketers. And on average, like in our simulations and on the production that we have seen so far, we're seeing about 3 times increase in CVR thanks to this tech, like 3 times X. That's huge. And this is only possible really because we can see not just one client, we can see a lot of clients, we can see a lot of partners. So we have that we have that vast amount of data that you need, because remember that apprentice needs to see as much as data as possible. So we have access to that data, and we have trained our models to look at the patterns, to look at the trends, and look at all of the data points, and then predict what's going to happen to the click. So this information is then used for traffic routing. So for example, every click that comes in, we are asking, how likely is that this click with this person is going to engage with the ad? And then if the model says highly likely, then we just send them directly to the advertiser. And this also happens in real time. If we're saying it's unlikely or less likely, then we're sending them to a page. We're just asking them to confirm. So we are sending them to a page which basically says, hey, click to continue to go to the App Store. And this little small step, even if it sounds simple, this little small steps helps with those like accidental clicks or people that are not really interested. They're not going to click on it. And looking at the, we can share some of the data from one of our clients. So if we look at Capital One Shopping, we are sending usually like around 1 billion clicks a month to Capital One Shopping, which drives 100,000 app installations on this. Now, if you're the marketer, if you are Capital One and you're looking at traffic from Perform CB, you see we sent you 1 billion clicks with 100,000 app installs. And then you compare us to a different source, different partners of yours who also may have sent you 1 billion clicks, but they're only created like one third of those app installs. So then you're going to wonder like, oh, wow, like the clients, the users that Perform CB is sending are a lot more interested in my ad, which means that this traffic is higher quality and more valuable to me. So as a client, when you compare these different companies, you're going to say like, I either want to increase budget or I love these guys so much that I'm going to continue working for them, which reduces, increases client retention. So this is a huge shift in what we're doing. And previously, we tried to do this manually, and it's not possible just because of the amount of data that's needed. And this is where machine learning really shines.
Yeah, to underscore what DZ said, the big unlock for us, because we have so much data, which right now is a huge competitive advantage for us, right? A marketer themselves couldn't build an algorithm as good as the predictive model that we've built, and a competitor couldn't as well because of the amount of data that we have, seeing so many clicks processed through our proprietary system on a daily basis. In the past, that was a problem for us because when we tried to grapple with that size of a data set, we simply couldn't make sense of the data. So while we've been trying to solve this problem for years, being able to have that predictive AI unlock is the huge unlock because it can look at the multivariate options and really find the sense to that level of data. And so this is a game changer for our existing client relationships. It empowers PCB to secure larger budgets, like DZ touched on, and it's paving the way to attract new clients. It's already live in our sales stories and our pitches when we're talking to clients. With this innovative approach, we're not just enhancing our current partnerships, but opening the door to endless new opportunities and really putting a stamp on one of the ways that Perform CB differentiates itself in the marketplace. Now, let's give you a sneak peek into our future vision for AI at Perform CB.
So as we mentioned, Perform Sense AI is a prime example of machine learning, which is incredibly powerful and available today, which is really important. However, as an early adapter in AI, what truly excites me is the potential of Gen AI or generative AI in business efficiency, not just chatbots, but business efficiency. And this is where we start to talk about the world that Sam Altman mentioned before, a world where a single employee supported by a team of AI agents can outperform entire teams of humans. So imagine this, a new client joins us, and immediately AI goes in the background and visits their web page or visits their app store page. And it does that to understand what the business model of this client is, to understand what category it is, to understand creatives and what's happening. Now, because of our sales process, this AI can look at the transcriptions from all the sales meetings that we had with this client, and this helps it understand the goals of this client. And then it can look at historical data of similar clients that we've done before and what kind of strategy, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And with all of this data, it can now generate a strategy that's recommended strategy for this client, specifically tailored to this client. And then the human, the manager, would go in and read through that and this is the point where human intuition and gut check really works great, because that's what's really hard to replicate in AI. But the human will then adjust the strategy, add anything, or just approve it, but add their touch. And then the AI spins out a team of AI agents. So imagine a team of smart apprentices, where each one of them is going to have their own tasks. For example, one AI agent in our case would start reaching out to potential partners. So it would recognize, and this is not just like, hi, first name, would you send our offer? No, this is personal message, text, email, whatever. And we know what our partner goals are. So this is like very, very granular, personalized message. Another AI will start working on creatives. So it will spin out a number of creatives, images or videos. And then another AI would, with the right integrations, actually go and start buying that traffic on different traffic sources. And then when it does that, it can use it can integrate with role-based AI to buy traffic and optimize media buys, to set bids in real time. And then, of course, you're going to have one agent that's going to orchestrate all of that, because these AI agents need to talk to each other to work well, right? So you're going to have one that orchestrates all of this and provides feedback to the human manager, and allow the human to refine their strategy or make changes. You can even have one AI that creates like a QBR presentation for the client, and even give talking points to the manager, the human manager. So then the human manager is going to talk to their client with already prepared reports, and anything that comes out from that meeting, any changes, would be fed back into the AI, and AI would continue executing it. So our vision is really a seamless integration of human expertise and AI efficiency, which drives superior results for our clients. And the way that we are thinking about this, in essence, like, we think that AI should not just be an add-on for your product, like most companies are doing right now. We think that AI should be at the core of our operations. It's going to enhance decision making, automate routine tasks, and accelerate growth. This is going to be huge. I cannot wait for this to happen. Erin?
Thanks, DZ. As you mentioned, Perform CB's AI strategy is designed to deliver maximum benefits to our clients. Everything that we think about is, how do we drive additional value for our clients, which ultimately leads to value for our shareholders as well, while setting us apart from the competition. This approach not only enhances our services, but really makes us the industry leader and cements our role as the industry leader. By prioritizing client success and innovative solutions, we're redefining the standards of excellence and driving forward into a future filled with growth and opportunity. We're tackling things like faster time to market. Imagine launching and scaling campaigns in hours, not days or weeks. Imagine that your interaction with your account manager on their best day is your experience with your account manager every single day. We're accelerating the use of our massive data sets to both learn from experience and build custom strategies for clients. And we're creating a feedback loop of multi-layered proactive campaign optimization. We know now that less than 20% of companies are effectively leveraging AI today. And at a CEO conference that I attended in April of this year, filled with 500 high-growth companies, the question was asked, who has an AI strategy? And I was one of only 5 CEOs out of the 500 that raised their hands. Here's what's worked for us so far. Engage your teams. Encourage your teams to experiment with AI tools. Often the best use cases come from those on the front lines. Establish an AI center of excellence. Create a dedicated AI center within your development team to drive innovation and best practices. Partner with experts. You want to find advisors who have actually produced hundreds of projects and seen things go live under their belts. Don't be fooled by somebody who just started learning about AI yesterday. Host a chief executive summit, bring together a cross-functional team across the business to put AI at the center of your strategic roadmap. You want to focus on ideas that impact revenue and differentiation, assess their feasibility, and then explore off-the-shelf tools for automation. One of the most exciting aspects about the outcome-based marketing business and digital advertising more broadly is the constant evolution of our industry. And AI is accelerating these cycles of change, and in our view, expanding the opportunities for Perform CB. This dynamic landscape is where innovation thrives and where we see endless possibilities for growth and success. And with that, we'll open up the floor to questions. So please, if you have a question, pop it in the chat box, and we're more than happy to answer that question for you. Let's see what we've got here. All right. First up, DZ, if I want to learn more about AI, what are some good resources for me?
There are, and this is an interesting one because things are changing so quickly in AI, especially in the last few years, and there's so much noise. So I just subscribed to a couple of newsletters like AI Valley. There's one that's called "There's an AI for That." That's the name of the newsletter. Those are good for keeping up to date. But honestly, like if you're looking for use case scenarios, like hey, because this is what really helped us is like look at what other companies are doing and try to get inspired and build on top of that. I just suggest that you partner with your cloud provider. So we're using AWS, and they usually have some experience in this, and combine that with your internal knowledge, and that can get you far.
Great. We've got another question. How did you decide where AI could best be deployed within your business? And I'll take that one, DZ. So as I mentioned, we had an AI summit where we got our chief executive team together at the beginning of the summer. And prior to that summit, we did some pre-work, and everyone shared all of their ideas that they had rolled up from their team. So they had team discussions, like what are our ideas around AI? What could we be doing? So we submitted those, we went through them and really tried to bucket them into different areas. And as I shared, there's no shortage of ideas. There was kind of 20 different categories of ideas. And then we thought about, okay, what is the feasibility of these ideas? Is the technology exists today to do this? Do we have the data we would need to do it? And we also thought about what are the value drivers for the business, because it's very easy to go down a road where you're focused on efficiency and cost saving, and there's absolutely a place for that. And in some businesses, that makes a lot of sense to really focus there. But we believe that for our business, we wanted to focus on what drives revenue and what drives value for our marketers that are coming to us to buy customers. So we prioritize anything that made the client experience better, because we believe that that was going to drive more value for clients, which then would drive bigger budgets for Perform CB, stickier clients, and differentiation. And so that's what our proprietary AI roadmap is focused on. And then we're looking for off-the-shelf solutions to help us with some of the efficiency plays. How do we get invoices out faster? Well, some company is going to figure that out. That's not a core competitive advantage for PCB. So we're going to find an off-the-shelf solution that helps us with that. All right, next question we've got here is, how are your competitors leveraging AI in comparison to Perform CB? DZ, you want to take that one to start?
Yeah. So the most that I've seen is looking at anomalies. So like they're looking at identifying fraud or not fraud. But what we are doing for increasing conversion ratio, like honestly, I have not seen any company doing that. Like if you have seen someone, please let me know.
Yeah, I agree, DZ. And one of the things that we think about there too is some of the investments that we've made together in our partnership with Beringer, and that DZ and I made together over our decade of working together, have been in our proprietary platform and some of the patents we already held around traffic quality. So we've got a head start in the fact that our platform is built to be able to house big data sets play with these big data sets and create models, whereas many of our competitors are on third-party solutions. And so they don't control their, technology or their development roadmap, and in some instances don't own the data either. So, we've got kind of a payback for all of the investment that we've made in having our own platform too. All right, we've got another one. What are some of the missteps you can make when exploring or implementing AI in your business? I'll start, and then I would happy to have you add to it too, DZ. I was surprised, and I don't know why I was surprised really, at it's actually easier to build the tech, and maybe that's just because DZ and his team are geniuses and so good at tech. The more difficult part is to get the adoption, right? Because AI is the biggest change management that you will experience in your career, because it's happened so quickly and the advances are going so fast. And so to stay ahead of what does the business rollout look like? How do we explain this to clients? How does the business team use this? What reporting should they look at? It surprised me a little bit, like how much work that piece of the puzzle is, but now we're prepared for it. And that goes into our planning. It's how do we build this, but then how do we actually drive business impact from it? Anything you'd add, DZ?
Yeah, so it's very different from building normal software, like from building interfaces, because like when you're building interfaces, like, oh, I have this form, I have 5 pages, so I've built 2 pages, so I know like I'm almost halfway there. With AI, it's more about research. So it's more about data discovery. It's more about testing different models, about feature discovery. So it just requires a different way to look and work with those kind of projects. So you have to shift your mindset. Like your tech team needs to look at this differently. And this is not just a web page. It's not just as simple as new feature in your software. It's a completely new, different concept. So if you ignore that, well, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, we've got another question here. What are best practices when it comes to implementing an AI strategy? And I think we've touched on a couple of these, but maybe to pull out something that we haven't touched on yet, or to pull through a theme from the talk earlier. You can't just do AI for AI's sake. And so many companies out there are taking something off the shelf, just kind of wrapping it and saying, we have AI for everything. Much like any tech development, it has to drive business impact, and it has to be a business problem that you actually want to solve. So I think that when you're getting your feet wet and starting to play with things, you might create some things that are cool, but don't actually move the needle for your business or ultimately for your clients. Just like any other business strategy, you want to make sure that you're creating a business impact and that you're driving value for your clients. And that has got to be what you're looking at. Data is another important piece of the puzzle. As we were talking to, third-party consultants to be helpful to us in some of our earlier projects, one of the first things that they asked us was, okay, but do you actually even have the data to do this? And is it structured properly? Can you get to it? Good news for us is yes, it is. But you can come up with lots of ideas. If you don't have the access to the data to make it happen, then that can create kind of a starting block problem for you. Dzenis, what else would you add?
So I mentioned that in the last few years, the advance in AI has been rapid, right? So that's going to continue for the next probably minimum 5 years, but probably the next 10 years. So the problems that you have today that are unsolvable by technology doesn't mean they're going to be unsolvable in a year. So you have to understand, you have to put your strategy in a way that you basically anticipate what new models are going to be released, right? Is OpenAI going to release a new model? And then how are you going to adopt that? For example, I believe that they're going in the direction of increasing reasoning, not just knowledge. So in our vision, for North Star, we are seeing use of all of that reasoning that's going to come out.
All right. Well, thanks, DZ. If you want to advance the slides one more for us, We absolutely geek out, DZ and I, about AI, and so we are happy to field questions. Our contact information is here. We would love to hear what cool use cases that you've seen, or if you have ideas for our business. This is a topic that Dzenis and I absolutely love. So please feel free to reach out to us. And if you'd like a copy of the webinar, the recording, go ahead and reach out to Beringer, and they will work with you to get that to you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.